Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are saying goodbye to the Tier 5 Pan-Asian Destroyer, the Jianwei. And as probably my last video kinda talked on, is the fact that this ship is not particularly good. It's definitely a little bit better when she is upgraded, but yeah, she's not the greatest thing in the world. I don't really mean to ready dish on this destroyer, but yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world. So this is a team. As you can see, we do have two enemy carriers on the enemy team, quite a few destroyers. There's at least 4 destroyers and predominantly battleships. So there's only one cruiser on the enemy team. We only have 2. They do have a destroyer advantage, but we do have a cruiser advantage. So that is something. So starting off, I am going to start pushing towards the western side because with 2 CVs, capping is going to be very, very, very difficult, and also with the amount of DDs, well, it's not particularly easy. Now, fortunately for us, or better yet, unfortunately for us, we're not the only ones that are going to be trying to push out west as we are. And there we go, we are detected. Now the Jianwei detection is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. It's around 5.9, I believe, something like that. There is obviously a kamikaze R, so we're gonna go ahead and pop our smoke screen. Now, this is one major thing is, yes, even though it's against a enemy Japanese destroyer, and you can technically take them on, but really due to the fact that your guns reload so terribly slow, it's not particularly easy. It does take 8 seconds just to get a reload, and I am trying to be careful because the CV was over us, as well as the kamikaze, as you can see, is dropping torps. And the Pan-Asian destroyers really can't handle a destroyer that goes into a smoke screen. Really can't deal with that due to the fact that the torpedoes can't affect enemy destroyers. So the only benefit of taking on enemy destroyers would be your guns, and once again, the Jianwei's guns aren't the greatest things in the world. They have decent angle. The really bad turret is the second last turret, turret number 4. And we were spotted there for a second, which is actually really a bit surprising. I think the enemy destroyer went up north. That would be my best bet. But the turret number 4, you have to show a lot of broadside just to get it actually able to fire upon any enemy ships, and that can lead you to a lot of issues because if you're showing a lot of broadside against HE, more likely to get hit. It's almost always better to be narrow when facing off against other ships, and there was a torpedo that did come off of the kamikaze, so we know he at least went north. Now, our friendly destroyer has captured A, which is definitely a good thing, and obviously the Julio Caesar is aware that there is a destroyer, or better yet, possibly a destroyer out here, and is taking precautions. Now, these torpedoes are a mixed bag. They are good as far as damage dealing. They do probably one of the highest compared to the other tier 5s. But the range is very, very, very limited, around 6.4 kilometers, and your detection is only 6 kilometers, so you only have around 400 meters to really be able to drop your torpedoes. And we get a hit, as you can see here, on the nose, did cause the flooding. Looks like he is going to take some flooding damage from us, which is always very, very nice. The reload rate on the torpedoes is not bad. It's a little over a minute, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but at this point, probably I'm hoping, or better yet, I would love to have a torpedo reload booster right now, but unfortunately the Jianwei just does not have it, but we do have it up in about 11 seconds. T-22 is coming in to drop his own spread of torpedoes, and now the Iron Duke would be a very valuable target. You have to kind of play it very, very aggressively here, because now we are unfortunately spotted. I did go in a little bit close to the enemy ships. The Iron Duke is spotting us. Looks like someone is targeting us. Actually, I don't really know who is. It's probably the Iron Duke, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, it looks like the Iron Duke is trying to get his guns turned. T-22 does take out the Julio. That is definitely a good thing. Um, Actually, maybe it's not the Iron Duke. Maybe it's actually the Kamikaze. I don't think... Yeah, it doesn't look like the Iron Duke is bringing in his guns. And unfortunately, our torpedoes are going to miss because of the hole of the dead Julio does block it. Now, we are in a really good position because the enemy Bogue is out by himself. And this is not something you always want to do. You got to be really careful whenever... Especially low tiers like this. CVs can get easily flanked, especially if a destroyer is allowed to get around the side. So, honestly, I think that right now the Kamikaze should be opening up on us. Probably would have helped his team by far, because this Bogue is just going to go down very, very quickly. We're actually citadeling this Bogue with our HE, which goes to show the limitation of the armor on the Bogue. Now, I do drop torpedoes, and I'm not afraid. This is one nice thing about Pan-Asian destroyers, is you don't have to worry about torpedoing your friendly destroyers. That is very, very nice. Look at that, triple citadel, really racking up the damage here, but unfortunately T-22 does get a torpedo hit, but who's going to get the kill? Please let it be us. We technically deserve that kill, but no, the T-22 gets the kill on the enemy Bogue, but we did rack up a significant amount of damage. Now, we are still spotted, and obviously the only conclusion I can come to is the fact that there is still a Kamikaze R around. Now, I do have to be careful because he could have possibly dropped torpedoes, but I think at the moment we should be fine. So the enemy team has only one. They still have the Julio, or no, sorry, I apologize. The Iron Duke still alive on the western side, but he's so out of place right now, but out of position that he can't really assist his team in the west. Now the enemy team's actually doing really well. They're actually technically a ship ahead of us, but we do have the CV advantage, and now we are going to have the cap advantage. So if worst thing comes to worst, it is hopefully we can cap them out and wait to win the game due to points. But I don't think that's going to be really needed. The T-22 is going back towards the enemy Iron Duke. We once again still have a good, healthy population of CVs, and they're at least trying to do their best as far as taking out enemy ships. We do have a low health Texas and a almost full health Wyoming against, I believe, a Kirov, a Wyoming, Congo. I don't really know what this Congo is doing, but where are the two enemy destroyers? We know there's at least two somewhere towards the D. Unfortunately, we have got a little bit too close to the enemy Wyoming. That was probably more my fault. I was not particularly paying attention. So we might as well just go ahead and open up on this enemy Wyoming. He is trying to get his guns turned. And the enemy Wyoming, or better yet, the Wyoming, has a lot of guns, but its major downfall is the fact that its dispersion is quite winky. As you will see, he is trying to get at least 4 turrets off, but he only manages to land 1 hit. We do cause a fire. The fire chance on the Jianwei is not too terrible. It's around 8%. So overall, not too bad, but our torpedoes nab us the kill, and that is our very first kill of the game. And look at there is the enemy Langley. Honestly, if you're a CV like this, you really should be aware of your positioning. You know there is a destroyer that coming your way. Might as well start getting moving, especially a Langley. Langley cannot maneuver very, very fast. Now, I don't exactly know what this enemy Congo is doing. To be perfectly frank, yeah, don't really know why he's all the way in the back. This is not what you should be doing when you're a Congo. Congo, yes, has the greatest range of any tier 5 battleships, but at that range, your dispersion is terrible. Like, look at that. That dispersion was actually really super good, but unfortunately, it's against a destroyer that's dispersion, well, its maneuverability is actually really decent. So Jianwei is, I don't want to say it's It's definitely not the greatest destroyer at tier 5. It's not the greatest gunboat. It's not the greatest gunboat. Damage-wise, not too bad. We got Devastating Strike, which is actually really nice. That has brought up our damage quite significantly, around 107,000. Now, there was still that Kamikaze alive somewhere. Now, unfortunately, our friendly CVs are in a bit of a pickle, as there is the enemy Kirov coming towards him. Now, I make a misplay, and it looks like the Kamikaze R just killed the Kamikaze by ramming it to death. Yeah, I should have been paying more attention to the CV's torp planes. Didn't realize he actually got the planes locked onto me. That's actually rather amusing that the Kamikaze killed one another, or at least one killed the other, which is interesting to say the very least. But there's not really much the enemy team can do. All they have left is the enemy Kirov, and it is now dead. So our team earned a victory. 247,090 silver was brought home, 7,633 XP, and 669 free XP. We earned Devastating Strike. Damage-wise, not too bad, 108,804. Really came due to the fact of the enemy CVs, as well as that lonely battleship. Shell hits 92, 5 torpedo hits, 1 plane shot down. Once again, the A is not the greatest on the Jianwei. 2 kills, 4 flyers, 1 flooding, 6 citadels, 2 defended base capture, and 1 assisted base capture. We're top a team with a base XP of 1,528. Damage, really across the board, did significant damage against the Langley, Wyoming, and Bogue. Got a few damaging hits on the Julio. Really came down to the fact of that 1 torpedo and a few hits on the Kamikaze R. Main guns did around 53,818. Armor piercing only did 210. Torpedoes was really where we got a significant chunk of our damage, 48,773, as well as additional fires and flooding, 2,000 and 4,000 accordingly. So overall, not bad, but it's probably one of my better games as far as definitely damage dealt. Really just came down to the fact that many of my games, it became really close, and yeah, sometimes the Jianwei can support itself and assist, but it's just not the greatest. It's the master of none. But anyways, we are going to go ahead and jump into the port, and I will see you guys there. Alright everyone, welcome back to the port, and the Jianwei is... I feel like it's kind of a letdown compared to the Shenyang, in the fact that it's not really that good. I hate to say it. It's kind of, I guess you could say it's kind of a jack of all trades. It has semi-decent range on its guns, decent speed, decent turning circle radius, but there's just the main aspect, the damaging, is probably where it's really kind of a pain in the butt to deal with. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at the stats. Survivability, 12,500. One of the bigger health pools that you'll find in all of the tier 5 destroyers, so that is something definitely going for it. But the next part, not so much. You have 5 single 120 millimeters. And I did point out there is certain guns that do have trouble actually aiming forward. Is this center one here definitely does have trouble being able to get guns all firing unless you show a full broadside. They have a miserable reload time of 8 seconds. Turn time on the guns is alright, 14.4 seconds. Max HE shell damage is 1700 with the 8% fire chance, which is not bad. Max HP damage is 2100. Firing range is 10.9, which is decent. Shell velocity isn't as good as the Shenyang, which had almost over 900 meters per second. The Jianwei has 814 meters per second. So definitely not the... in my honest opinion, just kind of a letdown compared to the Shenyang. The other thing about the Shenyang and the Jianwei is they share the same distance as far as torpedoes. The damage is a little bit better, 16,700, so they hit pretty hard, and obviously these are deep water torpedoes. Reload time's decent, 73 seconds. and they are only detected at 0.8 kilometers, so very hard for battleships to see them and be able to react in time. So very, very difficult. The really major downside is the range is 6.4 kilometers. Your detection, as we will see, is 6 kilometers. So you only have about 400 meters, and as you did see in the battle, you really had to be careful on not to be detected. And for quite a while, I was not detected, but damage is good. It's just that range is quite lousy at tier 5 compared to, say, the Minakaze, which has a 7-kilometer range torpedoes with detection of 6 kilometers. So it had a full kilometer to actually play around with. So that actually helped it out. Obviously, the Nicholas had very short range torpedoes, 5.5. So its option wasn't really much into torpedoes, it was more into guns, but obviously the Nicholas has far better guns than the Jianwei by far. Speed on the torpedoes is 62 knots, not as fast as, say, for example, the Kamikaze actually has really good torpedoes. The Minakaze, which the Kamikaze is based on, Minakaze, once it was fully upgraded, had 57 knots. So yeah, a little bit better than the Minakaze. I believe the Mutsuki has 63 knots. So not bad as far as speed, but really just comes down to the range. AA guns, yeah, you're not going to have much luck. Average damage is 13, 2.5 kilometer range, and you only have 1. Don't have a lot of AA to really shoot down planes. You are going to struggle, even though we did shoot down a few planes, but that's pretty much due because it was a Langley. Maneuverability is decent, 37 knots, not as fast as the Minakaze, but it's obviously not as fast as the Pavoski. But the speed is decent, 37 knots, pretty nice. Turning circle radius is fairly tight, 540 meters. Rudder shift time is very fast, 3.2 seconds. So overall, not bad as far as maneuverability. Concealment, once again, 6 kilometers detected by sea, 2.9 by air, and 2.4 from smoke clouds. So yeah, I really don't know. This ship, it struggles. Fortunately, it's only tier 5, so it's not the worst thing in the world. As far as getting it upgraded, obviously probably go for the torpedo. This just increases the average damage, but obviously decreases the speed as well as the reload time. Getting additional health is nice, and getting that additional range just so you have a little bit more range to deal with. I will have to say, in a few battles I have had with the Jianwei, it's been kind of nail-biters, and this ship actually has helped me ensure that we win, and which is actually rather a bit surprising due to the fact that it's not really good at a certain type of thing. It's more of an all-around type of ship. But anyways, this is going to be it for this episode of World of Warships. So we're going to be saying goodbye to the Jianwei and hopefully moving on to the Fushun, which is the tier 6. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijin.